It's really some of it is trial and error, right? So
Absolutely.
we do create content in here. Not all content pieces people like.
You help them figure what they want out of life, but you know everything can come with a price. Want to maximize your money and time, might have to take the uncommon advice.
So, all right, man. Well, let's get into the podcast today. Uncommon advice. We got some good topics to dive into.
We do have some good
So-
topics that are trending right now.
So a big part of So a big part of building $1 million audiences is creating engaging content.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about engaging content.
Well, I mean, going to it, you've been doing it for a while now. You're recording consistently and posting and creating content for your viewers that resonate with your viewers, because I think that's one of the big things. There's no point of you creating a content of you shooting a basketball and your viewers are not interested. They're interested in your business background and topic. So that's the first thing, is creating content that is for your viewers or for the audience you're trying to get to. Don't try to do a video of you swimming when you're trying to get into a business, or do a video in business when you're doing sports. So I think that's a big play, and you can probably talk a lot more to it than I can, because you, like I said, you do it a lot more. So what are some of the things that you look for when you're creating your content?
Well, I think there's a couple ways of going about it. You were just talking about swimming and stuff like that, but there's different ways, right? So if you're creating, I guess, lack of a better word, influencer or expert content,
Mhm.
right? Stuff for your industry, for your following. So we talk a lot about entrepreneurship and marketing and business and money making processes and things, right? So I'm creating content around that. But what I find, though, which is very, very interesting, is the content that ends up organically doing better is the personal content.
Really?
Right. So, or if it's even if I can loop in a business lesson with a personal piece, I think is kind of really it is. And I don't do a good enough job of that, of creating more of the personal stuff, because I'm so just dialed in on the stuff that we're doing and the content we're creating here. So what I did is a little life hack as a married man is my wife creates reels of our family all the time. And so she now hits me as a collaborator on those reels. And so they do hit my timeline and kind of, help me create some, add some additional part of that content there. But to go back to creating engaging content, it's really some of it is trial and error, right? So
Absolutely.
we do create content in here. Not all content pieces people like. Some of the topics they like, some of the topics they don't. Sometimes, the day we posted it just wasn't the right day. So the key is being able to, as you create that engaging content, it's understand that it's not all going to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get thousands of likes on something. You're not going to get a bunch of views. It does take time. And I think the biggest challenge is when I first got into creating content, take a step back, it was realizing that I didn't need to have approval from people when posting it.
That's a big part.
Right? Because a lot of times people fear posting anything because they fear the keyboard raiders and what they're going to say and what someone's going to think or what a family member might say because my family follows me. I've actually had some family members unfollow me because they don't like the content I post, which I'm okay with. I'm using social media to be a creator. I'm using social media I'm using it to be a creator, not a consumer. Right. So when I create that content, the goal is for me to help grow the brand, my brand, and the other brands that we're building here at Marketing Rebels. So engaging, kind of a long-winded answer to, engaging content is kind of a loose thing.
Yeah.
The key is understanding who your audience is, putting yourself out there, realizing people aren't going to like it. That's just another person that you aren't trying to attract anyway. So you're good to go. But get over that fear of posting and get started. You'll figure out the engagement side as you post more and more.
Mm-hmm. And some of the people that think creating content is like, oh, if the first 3 posts don't do good, then I'm done. Like, it took you time, because I've seen you've had posts that's killed it, and you have some posts that do okay or don't do that good, but you continue and continue. And one thing that I see that makes a big difference in content is some kind of trend. And the reason I say that is last podcast we talked about Andrew Schultz, and now he used to do turn your phone sideways to watch this. He created that trend, and now you see it. A lot of people do it. And that became something because he found something different than what every other person was doing. And that's the same thing that we all should be doing is don't just go look at someone and say, I'm going to do that. Switch it up, right? It can give you ideas. It can brainstorm ideas for you and start that fire, but don't go out and do exactly what they're doing. Try to see how can you make it different. So people, when they're looking at, example, if they're looking at Joe Schmo and then they're looking at Bill, if Joe Schmo is doing this and he's having success with this and Bill tries to do the same thing, they're basically not, they're like, oh, we'll just stay here. But if Bill comes out and say, you know what, I'm gonna add a little taste to it, I'm gonna add a little fire, I'm gonna do something different, then the pendulum swings. It can go either way. So I think that's a big part is trying to do something that you create yourself and not going off of other people.
Yeah, and it comes down to, and people use this term a lot, but being authentic.
Correct.
Right? It's being you. So when I first started creating content, I've gone through ebbs and flows.
Yep.
Of creating content. There's been times where I'll create some, I'm heavy in it, and then there's times where I'll disappear for months. And I've had those. I mean, I've literally gone through those evolutions. We've been pretty consistent in the last couple of years, but I think the challenge for me in the very beginning was really just finding my voice and understanding and being comfortable with it. I think a lot of people aren't when they first get started. And you have to understand that it's be you, not them.
Correct.
And for me, I'm not there's a lot of guys that I follow that are complete opposite of me, but I like I like the stuff they say, but they're loud. They're, more direct on some things. They might be a little more crass. And some of their stuff is really good and they have a big followings, right? But they're just themselves. They're not. And I've hung out with some of these guys in person and they're the same person when you're sitting there having a conversation with them as they are on their reels.
Yep.
So you can't just be you and have those conversations, create that content along the way.
And everything changes, right? The platform you post, you might have one platform that's successful. I mean, I have one, like me and you were talking about it. I did like a couple posts on TikTok that had thousands of views. And then you were asking, like, how is that? I was like, I have no idea. It just depends. I guess it's the algorithms and stuff. But going into creating content, the other thing that people think is you need the nice equipment. You don't need the nice equipment, right? We've had the luxury now that we do get nice equipment, the mics. We have an editor. We have all that stuff. But when you start, your cell phone is as good as anything.
This right here, the camera, everything on here, you can buy a simple mic if you want better audio quality. But either way, this thing right here is your sword.
Yeah,
it's your marketing sword. Right?
You just need to get started. Yeah. That's all. Like you don't need to, and that's one. I think that might be another thing that stops people from creating content. They don't think they have the right equipment. But a lot of influencers, successful people, yeah, they have a camera guy with them, but they also use their phone a lot. I know, I follow like the Grant Cardones and like the Dana White and all them. Like most of the video, they look like they're doing like a selfie thing, like right up here. So it's a thing of just wanting to do it. Like, you just got to stop making excuses. You just got to get it done.
Yeah, get in it and get it done. And it's, yeah, absolutely, man.
So I got one more question for you on this. So how would you say you find your audience? I would say put it this way, like we know you're big in business. So when you started creating content, it could have gone either way. Now we create content for different things. We have sports, we have this. But when you started, how would you say this is what I am going to attack? I want to attack the young entrepreneurs, the business owners, where there's other people that said, I want to attack the salespeople. The other people say, I want to attack how'd you figure that out, that this was where you wanted to go?
First, I'm not big in business. I feel like I'm small, right? Like there's so many levels upon levels. There's so many people doing amazing things. I'm just, another guy trying to build a business that really supports my lifestyle. Lifestyle is super important to me. So I'm building a business that helps me with that. I'm not building a $1 billion company like some people are shooting for and all that. But I would say for me, the reason I started creating content in the beginning was to create an audience and make money. That's original, like years ago. I was like, all right, well, if I create content, I can make more money. And but it's evolved because that in itself was not enough reason for me to continue making, which is why I would go months without creating content. And then it became this process now where I decided to create content that's almost like a diary, a business diary along the way of information and tips and knowledge that my kids can see and my grandkids can see, stuff that they can use to, if they want to go and go to college and go to the College of Business and have some of the professors I had at my college that really had no real world experience. They can point to my social accounts when I'm gone many years from now and see that there's valuable content there to help them with business, right?
Gotcha.
As opposed to someone who's just been in school all year talking theory. But when I decided to get into, so that's one reason. But then I look back now, I actually feel there's a lot of super amazing younger entrepreneurs that are hitting the space, that are aggressive. Like millennials and Gen Z get like this bad rap of being lazy and being entitled and all that. But at the same time, that group of people, there's a lot of hustlers, there's a lot of entrepreneurs, there's a lot of people. You can't lump them all into one, right?
Correct.
And there's a lot of great, if they had the right guidance, I know that they could be major forces in the entrepreneurial world. So another reason I create content and I target kind of that audience is because I'm trying to help them create the business, create the business they want based on the lifestyle, right? So it took me a long time. I used to run businesses just for the money. And then I realized I had to switch it. I built the business and then I lived my life. And when I made that switch, I've talked about it on a previous podcast, but lifestyle became more important in the business. So I had to design the life that I wanted, and then I had to build the business around it. And so when I made those shifts, I've been trying to, when I put content out, it's really to help, some of the Gen Z and the millennials, they do already believe lifestyle is important, right? Mm-hmm. So now I can help them. It took me longer to learn that lesson, but they're already starting to step ahead of me. They just don't have the business knowledge. So I can help them with that business knowledge and that content and the marketing and all that stuff going forward to help them kind of build the business they want around the lifestyle that they want to.
Do you think the content creation influencer market is going to continue to grow, or do you think it's already very saturated?
I mean, it's definitely more and more people are getting into it, and not as many people make money doing it as they think. Mm-hmm. So the question is, are you trying to be an influencer that gets paid to promote products, or are you creating content and building an audience to help grow your businesses?
That's a good way to look at it.
So the more we create content here, our business, as we talk a lot about stuff that we're building, stuff that we're doing, mm-hmm. not stuff that we're doing on a daily basis in our office and building the companies we're building. So our companies will grow as a side effect of that. Our companies will ultimately grow, right?
Yeah, and lately we've gotten into a lot of content creating here in the office. We have stuff we're doing for Sports Spread, mm-hmm. Common Advice. You're doing your own thing, so we're definitely rolling off. But yeah, guys. So 3 things that I'm gonna leave you off here. Just do it. Like Nate said earlier, don't worry about what other people think. Just get it posted, man. Everybody's always going to think something. Like it is what it is. Even if you don't post, people are thinking something. If people might be thinking, why is he not posting? And they're giving you crap for that. Or when you post it, they might give you shit. Hey, why'd you post this? So just do it. Second thing is you don't need all this fancy technology. The cell phone gets the job done to start. I promise you, just get started with your cell phone. You'll end up using the fancy technology. And step 3, man. Just wear your Jackie Robinsons. And they'll get it done.
Yeah. It's all about the shoes. If you got the right shoes on, you create anything you want.
Yeah.
So
and just a little backstory. Those shoes that Nate has on right now, those Jackies, those are what probably are my favorite shoes in the market right now. And those bad boys, just take time in the internet and just look at them. Like the lettering on them. You can't see them from the camera, but they're just beauties. But Nate just rocking them on for the show. They'll come off here in a bit.
Yeah, for sure. It's raining outside today, so they will not be walking anywhere.
Yeah, so
off this carpet.
Nate, real quick, I don't know how much we discussed it here just a while ago, but what are your thoughts on this submarine that's sitting right now with like 20 hours left of oxygen with 5 people in the bottom? What is it? 3,700 meters in the ocean.
I mean, have they found it yet?
So this morning when I read what I was reading on it, apparently from a sonar, they were hearing banging noises every 30 minutes in 30-minute intervals. So I don't know if that's them banging.
Is that dropping and the thing dropping and hitting the side of the rocks deeper and deeper down?
It could be.
In this abyss. Or, when I started looking at this, I almost wondered if something happened to the driver.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like, what if something happened to that person and now they're trying to, so they don't know how to control it, so they got to figure out how to drive this thing. maybe they don't know how. So I don't know, man, but it's wild that they they paid, what I was looking at, they paid like $250,000 for this trip to go look at the Titanic, right?
Yeah.
And it's like the size of a bus, kind of submarine, right? Nothing like, or van, like a large van, like it's nothing huge.
And it's not that techy either, because if you look at it, it is controlled by a Sony PlayStation controller. That is the controller that moves the vehicle.
On the inside?
Yeah,
or on the outside?
on the inside.
Okay.
The guy is driving it with a remote controller that I can go buy at Walmart, basically.
Did you get to replace the batteries?
He could have. And then, like, he turning it on, like, he did, like, I watched the video of the whole, like, him walking through the thing. And it's like a green button. It's a button. You just click, turns the thing on. It goes down there. But I start thinking a couple things. First of all, let's say they are able to rescue these people. And I hope they are. I hope somehow they find them and they rescue them and they're safe. But my big thought is these people are 3,700 meters in the ocean. One of the scariest places I'd probably say in I won't say the universe, but that we know of. Only, I think they say like 5 to 7% of the ocean has actually been explored. How do you get those people up? That's my first question, because you can't get them up fast because the pressure would explode them, like the equalizing to the pressure. And then my next question is, how do you even get down there? Apparently, it's like pitch dark.
Well, I mean, there's equipment to get down there, right? I mean, they've got other submarines that can go. They've got equipment to make that happen, but unreal.
It's like you said earlier, it's like paying $250,000. You're hoping you can come back.
So, first off, I used to scuba dive. So my first job out of college was a scuba diving instructor.
Mm-hmm.
And I love scuba diving. But you get down 100 feet, a little bit lower, like you can feel that pressure, like as you go down and down. So, two, so I can't imagine. One, they're obviously in a pressurized unit and everything else, but
Correct.
the mental thing that what they're probably going through right now. One, another thing, I'm claustrophobic.
I'll agree.
So I don't like small confined spaces. So first off, I would never go on this trip to go see the Titanic, and I just can't imagine what these people are thinking. And I mean, making jokes about it, but at the same time, imagine what these people are thinking. They're basically like sitting and waiting out, hoping someone saves them.
Hoping, yeah.
At the bottom of the ocean, like deep down, unreal. Like,
yeah, I mean,
I would have already lost my mind.
Oh, 100%. And I mean, there's probably, I bet they're in there. They're trying to hold it, but they probably have lost their mind by now.
Someone has. One of the five is.
Yeah. Well, I've also heard stories not stories, but I've been reading. If you grew up, like you said, scuba diving, you know all this about the pressure and stuff. I grew up doing it too. Any crack, any little small crack to the windshield, anything done to the equipment, to the submarine itself, when it got down to those pressures, it would not be able to withstand it. Mm-hmm. So I mean, you never know. And like we said, hopefully they get found. But I think this morning they were down to 20-something hours of oxygen left. So hopefully they.
I hope they find them.
I do too.
I hope they're all safe. And then I would like to ask all of them: was $250,000 for this trip worth it?
They're all gonna say no.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if they come out alive, they might be like, "It made a good story, right?"
Yeah, I guess.
But I don't.
What are you gonna see down there that you couldn't see in the movie?
Then that's what I was gonna say.
Leonardo DiCaprio, you know.
You want to see the Titanic? Discovery Channel probably has some documentary on it. So
crazy.
But well, let's get into our next topic here. People. So since COVID, I'll say, this industry has been impacted, and it's the movie theater industry. And and it came to mind to me because I kept reading, and I like watching the superhero movies and all that stuff. And one that just dropped was The Flash, which apparently did horrible in the box office. Horrible. I think it took them 72 million to create the movie. They've only done like 55. So, and they're already, I think, 6 days in. So, are streaming platforms impacting how these movies are doing in the theaters? And my answer is yes. I think they are, because before that movie comes out, you won't see it on HBO Go or HBO or any of that 4, 5, 6 months later. Now it leaves the theater 2 weeks later. You have it on. You have it in the screen of your house.
Yeah, I mean, streaming services are growing, right? They've been growing at 18% a year for a while now. So it is. It's completely changed industries. if you look at a lot of like Netflix and Apple, they've got all their own series coming out.
Correct.
They've got their own documentaries. They've got their own, movies that they're producing. So it has definitely changed how the industry is operating. And as you can see in the data, right, that we were looking at before this was the movie goers, right, the movie theater. That industry is declining at what 17%.
17%. Yep.
It's kind of interesting. So one's growing at 18%, one's declining at 70%. I don't know. My wife just took the kids to a movie last night, though. So,
I still think there's a good experience.
I was a movie like 2 weeks ago. I went to a movie, so I think movies become more of an experience than they were when I was growing up. Right now, you've got these big recliner chairs.
Correct.
It's more of there's less seats in there. They put than it used to be. They pack you in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely changing. The question is, I wonder how it actually operates inside the marketing realm for these.
For the movie theater or the streaming services?
Both.
Oh, okay. I think the streaming services at my
movie.
end. Oh, in the movie, gotcha. I think the streaming services at my end are doing better too, because like what we talked, Netflix, you have Netflix originals, Hulu's originals, Amazon Prime, they're doing their original stuff. Those are good movies with good actors. I've seen Chris Pratt. They're using some of these big names in these movies, and the budget is like half of what these other big movies are coming out with, and they're having either as much success or even better. Because the problem is, I think Netflix has put themselves in a tier where nobody right now can touch them. I feel like in the streaming services, they're probably top tier.
Yeah, I mean they're the blockbuster killer.
Exactly. They're the blockbuster killer. There you go. That's a good way to put it. But they also do such a good job marketing. I don't know if you saw, but Netflix just had like a big event in Brazil announcing like everything they're dropping for the next, I think, was it next year or so, of every shows and movies that they're dropping, and that was like streamed. On Netflix streamed it. It was streamed, like everybody was watching. It was all over social media, and it's what's making a difference, a big difference there. So I think these streaming services are just going to keep climbing. I think I was reading by 2027 it's going to be like a $292 billion industry. So I just think it's going to keep climbing because I think their marketing is doing it right. I feel like the Flash and not like the Flash. Only time I ever saw really the ads on the Flash was a commercial when I was watching the Miami Heat get destroyed by the Nuggets. I know, I said it, but that's the only time I was watching the Flash. They were partnered with the NBA. Where these Netflix are targeting, they know if like I'm a big like I like the Outer Banks on Netflix. I watch that show. They're targeting people specifically like to me, showing me the trailers and stuff. They're targeting to what you like, showing you the trailers and stuff. They're not showing you. You don't, let's say you're not a DC guy, they're not showing you the Flash. They're going to show you something else. So I think these TV shows and TV shows, online streaming platforms are doing such a good job at just getting it in front of their billion-dollar audiences. I'll put it that way. So it's killing
Not million.
Billion.
Not a million.
But yeah, no, the Flash tanked it. And I feel like one of the big reasons the Flash tanked it is it dropped at the same time as the Spider-Verse dropped. And I just feel like Marvel just has the movie. Marvel, I don't think DC will ever catch up to what Marvel is. Marvel, I think, just has established himself as one of the better movie making in the superhero market. If you looked at it, Marvel, DC has dropped. I think DC's biggest success has been Batman. Outside of that, I don't think they've had as much success as Marvel has done in their movies. So I don't think that's happening.
That's your realm, man. I never really got into the DC and Marvel movies and
really?
all that. Yeah.
I'm a big Spider-Man fan.
Okay.
And Iron Man just because he has a lot of money.
Iron Man did.
Iron Man just because he has a lot of money. But yeah, I mean, these streaming services, you have them on your phone now. You can watch them on your phone. You can do it at home. So they're just going to keep taking over the market. I highly doubt. I think the movie industry won't be in.
Well, the projected growth is supposed to be is supposed to continue through 2027, like they were talking about. Like that we've already seen, they're projecting going all the way through 2027. So, the thing is to start looking into as we talk about this is I've been seeing recently some ads for running at Hulu ads. So Hulu is now running ads to attract advertisers. So one thing that we need to come look into is how could we leverage those ads, the Hulu ad platform, to grow our audiences that we've got, right? So just like a Facebook ads, just like Google ads. So we need to go look into that, start using it, test it, and then report back
100%
to our audience here on how that is a way to actually grow your business and your audience on a new ad platform.
Yeah, I mean, 100%, because not like Hulu. Hulu has Hulu Live TV. They have the streaming platform where they run their movies and stuff. They have their Hulu originals. So Hulu's another one that's not up big and coming. They're big, period. So it's going to be interesting how this online streaming service is going to take over.
We will see.
We will
see.
indeed.
I mean, I wouldn't call it taking over. I would say it's already there.
Yeah, and I also feel like it makes it easier for families. Like, you're a dad, so you can probably talk to this. To watch a movie at home, it's, hey, kids, let's get on the couch. We're watching a movie. To go to a movie theater, it's, let's get in the car. Let's drive. Right, it's an experience still, but it's get in the car, drive to the
buy a $5 bottle of water.
Exactly, $10 popcorn.
And we all like different candies, so we all have to get our own candy bag, you know?
Exactly. So it just makes it easier for people at home to do it. But there you go, man. Make sure you have a Netflix subscription. Oh, and you can't share it at home anymore. You can't share it anymore.
Oh, yeah. That grocery going to skyrocket.
Oh, yeah.
So let's get into the uncommon advice section here, where we're going to talk about the value and importance of micro commitments, right? So micro commitments are a thing that I have always, I wouldn't say always, but I've learned over the years to use in two different facets. I use it personally. I use it in business. It's done in marketing. And I would say I actually learned this process in marketing, and then I started leveraging that same concept in life. Mm-hmm. So a micro commitment. So when you're building out an ad, let's use it in the marketing realm right now. When you're building out a ad campaign for your offer, your business, your product, whatever that is, there's a thing called micro commitment. So when you're building out that campaign, one is you want there to be, they're going to see the ad, right? So when you're going to post an ad, let's say you post an ad on Facebook, that ad right there has to get the intention. The first goal, the first micro commitment you want to gain is somebody to stop scrolling or someone to engage with your ad, right? So it has to be eye-catching, popping, whatever that is, to get their attention. The second thing, the second micro commitment now is to click onto that ad, right? Because you have a call to action. So that's the next micro commitment. And then from there, you have, once they land on whatever that action is, let's say it's to go to your website and fill out a form. So that next page, they want to land on your site. Now you have to gain and keep their attention when they land on that site. So there's bounce rates and everything, conversion rates, where like maybe you have a 30% opt-in rate, so 33% opt-in rate, so to keep numbers simple. Yeah. You're going to 1 out of 3 or 2 out of 3 are leaving the page and 1 is staying and taking the action. So the goal is these micro commitments that you build are them saying yes, 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 and then until they say no. So the micro commitments when you're marketing is you have to look at it as an avenue of how do I get them pay attention, take action 1, take action 2, and all the way to the very end of the conversion. So whatever your end goal is what you want them to accomplish, right? So what happens though in marketing is a lot of people try and just create this whole campaign really big. They build the landing page first. They don't understand what they really want. And they just go throw a bunch of stuff at the wall and hope it sticks. Re-engineer, like what are some very, very small yeses that you can get from the consumer and the customer that you're trying to attract to get them to start? Because every micro commitment, yes, that they say is more trust in what you're doing and what they're more trust in you and higher conversion rates for you. The challenge is, and where most people go wrong with micro commitments, is there's no congruency. So you're saying you'll have like your ad will say one thing, your landing page will say another, and then your offer will be another. So there's zero congruency. So one thing to keep in mind on your micro commitments, it's not about just getting the commitment, but it's also keeping the trust and the congruency all the way through the funnel. So, micro commitments, super important for your marketing and what you're doing.
Is this like a mic drop moment where I just walk out and just don't say anything? No, yeah, absolutely. And yesterday we were talking about it. Mm-hmm. In the aspect outside of the outside the marketing realm, in the personal realm, right? You were talking about yesterday how if you're having a day where you're just feeling like you're getting nothing done, and you literally just go and find one small thing that can get you a win to basically like kick that fire, get you going. And I think we all do that. I do that too. I'm really big at like writing all my stuff on paper, and then I'll find the easiest thing on there. And I was like, if it's literally just like checking your emails, I scratch it off and I feel like, okay, I got something done. Let's get moving. So yeah, micro commitments are used, and especially like you said in marketing. Mm-hmm. You can never skip it. The funny thing about marketing is you can never not run an ad, and that person not clicking and get all the way through. There's steps to it. There's a funnel. It's basically a sales funnel. that you're putting them through. It's clicking the ad, getting to the landing page, from the landing page, filling out the form, getting to the process. So it's a really good way to put it there. Like I said, guys, he left me speechless on.
So we'll go back into the personal life. So for example, you mentioned doing that. I do it as well. So for example, if I'm just we get in funk sometimes, right? That's just life, right? You get in a funk or you get unproductive. And if I'm in the office and I find myself being unproductive, I feel like an hour just passed and I accomplished absolutely nothing. My brain's scattered. I got all kinds of stuff going on. This actually normally happens with me about 2:00 in the afternoon. and we have different times of the day that we're productive. So what I will do at those times is I will I'll pick one thing, same thing as you do, and I'll just accomplish that small. And then I roll right into the next thing. And then momentum starts building as you start checking things off that list that you got to get done, as you start committing. This can be as simple, it doesn't have to be work, but as simple as, for example, getting up, making the bed in the morning. And I you mentioned this one yesterday, but I don't make the bed in the morning because when I get up, my wife's still usually in bed. But that's one of the things she does every day, right? Like that. It's like one thing for her to complete every day that gets her day started, right? It's a completion process.
Well, you have a micro commitment in the morning because you have to get up and you have to throw your shoes and clothes on to be able to go on that walk, that walk that you do every morning. That if you guys don't see it, if you follow Nate on his story, he posts it every morning. But that's a micro commitment of I got to get out of bed and I got to throw this clothes on to go do this. Yeah, that's a small win because
many days I don't want to go.
Exactly.
And it's funny because I just started a fitness challenge with my son. Since he's got an Apple Watch, I got one, and I hit him with this challenge, and I was like, I'm gonna crush you this week, and building that competition in the family. And
so what's the challenge?
So it's just you can just in the fitness or activity act, you can just invite someone to a challenge, and then they rate it kind of how much you do.
Gotcha.
And I'm already like day one, I was like 3x what Caden had, and I came home. He goes, Dad. He goes, I don't know if I'm ever gonna beat you. He's like, because you work out 2 times a day. I was like, hey man, get to work.
Yeah, but no, it's the micro commitment is huge, and I struggle. I'll put it this way: I struggle with the bit. I get into points how Nate said he got into points with media. I get into the points with the gym too, where I'm committed. I'll go to the gym for it'll be 6 months of going straight to the gym, and then I'll be like, okay, I lost some weight. I'm done. And then same thing happens. You'll see. Then I'm out for 6 months, and then I come back in for 6 months. So that micro commitment also needs to become a long-term commitment. It starts as a micro, but it at some point needs to become a long-term commitment. So yeah, and actually I learned about this micro commitment yesterday. I've never really heard of it until me and Nate discussed it yesterday. So it's definitely educated and opened up a couple views on it.
Yeah, and I think too with you, it's habits, right? So to kind of touch on what you're saying is these micro commitments are things you do over and over and over to help you. Like micro commitments are one way to kind of get yourself out of inflow and in momentum, right? Not only personally, but also in the marketing, you figure every micro commitment is building momentum as well. So the big key of micro commitments is building momentum. But at the end of the day, on the personal side, it has to become a habit, or otherwise you just
and I think a lot of people struggle with that. A lot of people struggle with making things a habit. They think it's a one time or, like I said, a flow of things where I do it for a bit and then I'm off of it. Where if I did it more consistently, I'd be over here shredded.
Or you don't get the results you wanted instantly.
Exactly. So, but
I think that's it, man.
Yeah.
That's all we got.
Yeah. Other than that, guys, follow us on mine is Zeden0323, Nate Kennedy, MD. Follow us, like, subscribe. Remember, we have a what do we call it here? Our code?
Oh yeah, the bro code.
The bro code, gentleman code. Where we don't advertise, we don't get paid for this. We do this to give information out, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. So subscribe.
With that, all you gotta do is like, comment, and share if you gain some value from it.
Alrighty.
Hey, listen to this, might have to take the uncommon advice.